Issue 202. After Sonic jokes around that he wasn't paying attention to what Khan told Sally about the villain for some reason, Khan annoyingly calls Sonic childish, missing the whole appeal of his character, and Sonic correctly calls a sneak attack, being happy about doing so, as the two get attacked by the Dark Legion. Leon shows up and gets attacked by Khan's lightning, and she calls up their support, the Yag-Yu clan, which is a bunch of ninja bats. Khan then confirms my suspicion by saying I was right to find them familiar, as they used to be the thieves that were pillaging the Dragon Kingdom until the Iron Queen killed their master. Khan then explains that Bride is just an honorific title. I like that Sonic questioned that. It makes him a good audience surrogate. As Sonic continues to take the situation seriously, being worried about the idea of 3 clans as an enemy, Khan gets hit by a laser in the shoulder and immediately throws lightning instead of being injured like Sonic was. And just then, the Iron King shows up. Sonic reminds us that the Iron King is arbitrarily almost invincible, and the Fan of Fen was his one weakness. And Khan explains the Fan's absence away as it being stolen by the Yag-Yu for his personal collection. That would have never happened if Sonic had taken the Fan with him to Knothole. Then he never would have gotten the Fan back. He'd be smoldering in Knothole's ruins by now, though that wouldn't help the heroes, of course. Maybe it's better this way, at least it's way they could potentially get the Fan back. Khan tells Sonic to cover him while he gets his Atom Bat, whatever that is. Then Espio attacks Sonic, making his betrayal official, and Lightning Lynx attacks Khan. Espio adds to his poor communication skills by not ever explaining to Sonic why he's turned traitor and leaving Sonic to assume it's mind control. It's really infuriating when even the characters in-universe come up with better written explanations than what are actually the case in the story. It wouldn't be a stretch for Snively to make a brainwashing mind control chip to control Espio. I mean, they almost did it for Khan. And it's not like Khan has a cyborg brain, so what would make it so that only he could be controlled by mind control chips? Why couldn't Espio be mind controlled? That would make so much more sense than this. Although Sonic shouldn't bother asking him if it's mind controlled, because if he was mind controlled, he wouldn't know he was mind controlled, and he probably wouldn't be allowed to tell him anyways. With Khan and Sonic having a hard time because Sonic can't just run a circle and throw everyone up high in the air from a tornado and crash them to the ground with broken limbs for some reason. And Khan, I guess, is missing his lightning to avoid killing anyone, making him useless in the fight. Seriously, this is really forced. Khan summons his Cloud, with Sonic amusingly calling him Cloud Monkey after calling him MK, another nickname I like. For some reason, after they retreat, Leon's smart order to shoot them down is dismissed by the Iron King because I guess he doesn't want to win. Instead, he arbitrarily says that the enemy is wounded even though neither of them are injured, and he thinks they'll finish themselves off even though they're flying safe from harm. Translation: we need to give the heroes a fighting chance because plot. I like that Lando says, "How dare you?" at first. She's really not used to being ordered around. Then he explains further that it wouldn't be good for the morale of their friends to learn their most powerful teammate somehow lost his fight against a bunch of mortals. Also, Khan has a neck and really human-looking muscles and long arms, reminding me of the Art of the Adventure adaptation days. Finally, Knuckles lampshades that he thought Espio was from Rainbow Valley, and he knows there isn't a ninja clan there. Rainbow Valley's the name of the Chameleon Village, right? Is this gonna lead to a bullshit ass-pull revelation that Espio was lying about being born there the whole time, which wasn't foreshadowed at all in the pre-Eden Flynn days? Elias asks Sonic to tell everything to the full council because the full council isn't here for the sake of making it take longer for Sonic. Why is Sally sitting beside Elias at the council when she's not part of the Council of Acorns like she should be? Seriously, it'd be so much better if she was part of it and not Hamlin. Then sure, there'd be too much royalty for the people's liking, but at least she already sat on a council in the early days, around issue 50 and issue 51 and stuff. Sally has a sweet moment with Khan where she asks if he's alright since he looks depressed, and he tells her that she can call him Ken. Khan says this is just one in a long list of failures for him, and walks away moping about what kind of a king he turned out to be. The only failure I can think of him having is that Eggman destroyed a village, but that was while he was captured to be brainwashed by him. There was nothing he could do. Oh right, his real huge failure was not destroying Robotropolis when he had the chance, and thus saving the lives of a lot of Overlanders just because Sonic was interfering with him. Way to go, Sonic! That was more Sonic's failure than Khan's. So Khan's mopiness here comes out of nowhere. but I'm interested to see more of an explanation for it. In the next story, Snively and the Iron Queen giggle about how Sonic and Khan somehow lost the fight, and Snively says that he knows so little about her past. I like that she looks unhappy and reluctant to talk about her backstory. We see a really cute and innocent looking little girl version of her as the flashback begins. The Iron Queen was born into a cult of technomages, natural ones, not like the Nightmares. About time. They practiced their arts in secret in Mega Central. I guess that's the center of Megapolis, and this was of course well before the Great War. So why, aside from artistic reasons and making her look cuter, was she not wearing her hood up covering her eyes so that she can't see? The old men behind her have hoods over their eyes. Is walking around blind a symbol of a higher rank in the cult? She was taught how to control the electricity and electronics and send them out at will. All of the electronics are just out in general to control electricity as a whole. If the latter, why didn't she summon electricity and throw it at Sonic last time she saw him? More importantly, do they seriously expect me to believe she can only control electricity when it's in electronics? That doesn't make any sense at all. She should be able to control it no matter what it's in, even if it's inside of a body, which would allow her to control that body as well, just as well as she can control a machine. I can only give the writing the benefit of the doubt and assume she has no idea that she can use electricity to this extent because she was only taught about controlling it in electronics. Also, I'm sure electronics are a recent invention, so I can imagine this cult was a recent thing, not an ancient practice going back thousands of years like the robe wearing seems to imply. That would explain it being in secret rather than there being a whole civilization practicing magic openly. The Iron Queen says that she could read electronic signals and see how they move through the air. The air, she says, not just wires. So she should really be able to control electricity no matter where it is, and she has that deep of a mental connection with it. The cult was arrested and executed since Magitech was illegal. Maybe the government was a bunch of paranoid scaredy cats. Well, to be fair, who knows what kind of hacking the cult could be able to do. She was shown mercy because of her age by being made to live in exile, something that they would deeply live to regret. Am I really supposed to believe she was the only member of the cult who was young enough to get that treatment? How small was that cult then? She goes from sympathetic with Jules and Uncle Chuck of all people viciously driving her away just because she's a human, to not as sympathetic since she shows racism against the Mobians herself, saying that she wouldn't have wanted to live with them anyways. She explains that obviously wandering the world on her own, not being welcome anywhere, was hard on her, and she vengefully decided that she would reform her cult and make it dominate the planet. Except we won't see any other technomages aside from her, at least I don't think so from what I've heard. So that whole motivation of hers ends up being ignored because she never forms a new cult to dominate the earth with technomage powers, and instead hoards the powers all to herself. She then cuts us off saying that she's too tired to answer the simple question how she became Eggman's sub-boss. Instead of, taking down Eggman herself because she can control all of his robots. This issue was by Ian Flynn. The first story has Sonic and Khan get defeated remarkably easily for a bunch of superpowered heroes facing an army of mortals. Outnumbered or not, Sonic alone should have been able to win against them easily. All he has to do is run a circle to catch them all tornado, sending them high up and crashing down to get injured from the fall. It's not like he's never done that move before. In fact, he once spun in place and created a tornado that way. So it's not like there wasn't enough space. And he could have spin dashed into the ground, burrowing through it to get as much space as he wanted, and spin dashed around to attack everyone at super speed. But instead, he gets curb stomped from every direction without being fast enough to do anything. Either way, they lost way too easily. This is like Nate's kidnapping all over again. Although at least it's just 2 heroes against the whole army this time. The second story was also by Flynn, and I really love the fact that they cared enough to give a villain a tragic backstory explaining why they're evil for once. This doesn't happen nearly as often as it should. Every other character gets a proper backstory of some kind, but for some reason villains are always the exception. I like this, I really do. She was a cute little girl, and she had every reason to grow bitter and turn on the world because they turned on her. My questions are, how did she not figure out that she should be able to use electricity for way more than just controlling electronics and thus become more of a threat? And why does it not even address the fact that she never did form another cult of technomages like she said she wanted to? I guess she couldn't find any more, and they really were all killed off, since they would have gone to serve one of their own kind otherwise. But still, she got a motive and dropped it and the issue was introduced. Even if she had kids, the power of the Technomage would still be diluted to nothing, as they would have no choice but to marry people without those powers, and the same would go for their kids. The Technomage cult would have been doomed to dilute themselves into nothing anyways. It's pretty tragic. I feel like they should have had a whole civilization to themselves, although I can see why they were feared and stuff, because that kind of power would be used to hack into technology, and that could only be really used to cause trouble. There aren't many positive applications for power like that, except maybe recharging batteries. Wait, couldn't that cult be really useful against fighting Robotnik? They would have completely taken over his army of robots just like that. But then they might proceed to take over his empire for themselves, but at least they wouldn't be turning people into robots and polluting the world and trying to destroy every living thing and banning music. They wouldn't be doing much good after that, but at least they would be able to stop Robotnik and be the lesser evil afterwards. If only I could get to see an alternate zone where that did happen. That would have been awesome. And her being a Technomage seems to come out of nowhere from what we saw of her last time as a witch that created internal fire, but to be fair, it perfectly explains why she only hypnotized Khan, a cyborg, and there wasn't any other technology around the issue for her to show off with.